Tristan Beck gets a scary injury update, an upper arm aneurysm, which is going to definitely cause him to miss potentially significant time. And so the Giants, who are already thin on experienced pitching, there's just no excuse now for not going out and signing one of these top two starters on the market that are still out there.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily San Francisco Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Giants, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. My name is Ben Kaspick, and on the show we provide daily episodes Monday through Friday, talking about the San Francisco Giants in a way that's data-driven and rational, but also simple, passionate, and accessible to all. I'm a former contributor for the baseball statistics and analysis websites Beyond the Box Score and Rotographs. I've been podcasting about the Giants since 2015. I've been hosting the show for coming up on 5 years, and I'm a lifelong fan. Thank you for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Check us out there. If you have not already, please hit that subscribe button, thumbs up button, whatever you can do is much appreciated. Today's episode, by the way, is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. And where we get started is with this scary diagnosis for Tristan Beck, who figured to be in that starting rotation, which was already kind of suspect when you start talking about, first of all, Keaton Winn figures to be in that starting rotation. And you start talking about, okay, he was shut down with elbow pain. And it's been kind of better news from there. Cleared to throw, saw a doctor, like no structural, got an MRI, no structural damage, all that stuff. But then after that, Tristan Beck is another guy who's inexperienced, like Keaton Winn. I mean, Keaton Winn has hardly any major league experience. Tristan Beck last year was a rookie. It was good, and I understand like wanting to give young guys opportunities, but then he goes down, he just suddenly has hand pain, and they send him back to the Bay Area, which was concerning to hear, to be evaluated. And he ended up being evaluated at Stanford, where he was diagnosed, the Giants say, with an aneurysm in his upper arm. He went to Stanford to see a vascular specialist and will weigh his treatment options over the next few days. And so Shaina Rubin, who now is a beat reporter for the San Francisco Chronicle, congratulations to her, says Bob Melvin says that they're not expecting Tristan Beck back for some time, and he won't be ready for opening day. Didn't rule out a return sometime this season. So we're talking like serious injury here. I mean, injury is, I don't even know. I don't know. I've never heard of an arm aneurysm, especially in baseball. And I believe it's his pitching arm. It wouldn't matter. And, first of all, I just want to say, like, wishing all the best to Tristan Beck. It sounds like a scary thing. And I know Andrew Baggerly tweeted about how, or I think actually it was Susan Slusser. She said that the internet tells her that surgery to remove the aneurysm and replace the blood vessel is the usual course of action. So that's pretty serious. And Baggerly, similarly said it's not routine, the fix for this. And so, first of all, I just want to wish Tristan Beck nothing but the best. This is a horrible time for this to happen for him, but of course, just health comes first, and that's just number one for sure. But when it comes down to the baseball ramifications, it just completely underscores how, they already had the issue of being inexperienced, but at least you could say, but we really like these guys. But then if they start dropping like flies, if Keaton Winn's elbow flares up again, like already you're talking about Sean Jelly, he was mentioned by Bob Melvin as a essentially replacement option at the back end of that rotation. And so I didn't even mention the first two guys after Logan Webb, because Webb is like, thank goodness, established starting pitcher who's good. But then after that, you've got Kyle Harrison, who is a top prospect but is unproven. And then you've got Jordan Hicks, who is like an elite reliever but is unproven as a starter. And then Keaton Winn, Tristan Beck, Sean Jelly, like, it's just not a rotation. It's a rotation with guys, all of whom I like and I am intrigued by. It's not like just, fifth starter types traditionally. These are all guys who are interesting. Although Sean Jelly, maybe you start to venture into that back end starter type, whereas with Beck and Winn, I think you can hope for more than that. But, and there's the point, like, to play devil's advocate against the argument I'm going to make, which is that they need, in my view, without having the data that they have on their own pitchers, right? Because they're seeing like the TrackMan data and stuff from their own pitchers in camp when they throw like bullpen sessions and basically evaluating pitch quality. And so you may be an unproven player, but to them, they might have a lot of confidence in your ability to succeed based on the analysis of your pitching that they're able to do with like super, high speed, slow motion cameras and whatever, tracking the flight of the baseball out of your hand and the movement profiles and all that stuff. But again, to play devil's advocate against the point I'm going to make, that's the point, which is that there's young players beyond just, it's like Keaton Winn and Tristan Beck and that's it. No, there's like this whole wave, in their opinion, of young talent. And for all we know, we could be talking about future beloved all-stars here when I'm talking Mason Black. And I've got to kind of scroll to see. They do have, like, Mason Black, I really like. I watched one of the games that was actually televised, not by the Giants. I watched him pitch and was really impressed with his second inning of work. Struggled a bit in the first inning, but that second inning, I think, really showed off what he can do. And I'm high on Mason Black. And there are guys like Carson Whisenhunt, who's got one of the best changeups. They say, like, not just in the Giants system, but like in baseball. And that's what I'm talking about. When they can evaluate basically pitch quality, they can say this changeup is one of the best changeups in baseball. Like, definitively, they can just like say it based on the kind of modern analysis that they're able to do and compare it to other pitches around the game. And so if they really believe in that, and they believe in the stuff of Mason Black, and then there's Landen Roupp, and there's Hayden Birdsong, who also impressed me in one of the games that was actually televised. And there are other guys too behind them, and Reggie Crawford on the fast track now going to pitch full time. So that's the point, that they think they have all this young pitching. And my counterpoint is like, are you really going to just go into a season in which I think there's a lot of pressure to succeed with essentially everybody outside of Logan Webb being unproven? And I'm not saying they should go get a back end starter, because I'd rather let the kids play than watch, Michael Lorenzen, for example, honestly. And that's why they got rid of Ross Stripling and didn't bring back Alex Wood, of course. But they traded Ross Stripling. They traded Anthony DeSclafani because I would rather see these young guys that they really believe in. But that doesn't mean, if you're like trying to win, that you don't need somebody else who's a little bit more established or a lot more established. And I'm talking Blake Snell, and I'm talking Jordan Montgomery. And so coming up in just a minute, I'm going to make the case for the Giants. I don't want to say they need to. I never like to say anybody needs to do anything, but like, if ever there was an obvious fit for Snell or Montgomery, it's the San Francisco Giants. So we'll get into that argument in just a minute. And before we do, Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, which I have personally purchased on eBay Motors, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts to choose from for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your vehicle every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. All right, as promised, we are going to make the case as if like it needed to be made, but apparently like the Giants may need to hear this. We're going to make the case that they should sign Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery. And it's like such an obvious case to make, but we're going to make it. Thank you again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Every day, so we're going to be dipping into the mailbag tomorrow. We've got like 60 questions left from last week, and so I probably should have got to more of them over the course of this week. They're all, good and topical and relevant still, because nothing much has changed since last week. So, except for Tristan Beck having an upper arm aneurysm. Ugh, I still can't believe that. But anyway, be on the lookout tomorrow. Locked On, by the way, has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV Channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV Channels app. So, the case for Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery, these are the two clear and obvious best starting pitchers left on the free agent market. They're two of the best starting pitchers who were on the market all winter, and they just happen to still be unsigned. They happen to both be Scott Boras clients, and Cody Bellinger was one of these Boras 4, and he actually signed in the last week, and so we finally got some movement there. But I've been online. Probably some of you listening have been those I've been engaging with on kind of the Blake Snell versus Jordan Montgomery debate, and I just think among Giants fans, there is probably a small minority who thinks they should just actually I wouldn't. Maybe not super small. I think there's, just estimating maybe 10%, 15% of fans are just no, just let the young guys play and don't give out a big contract to either of these guys because they both are kind of imperfect and they're older-ish. They're not super young. They're both 31. They both turned 31 in December. So they'll be 31 all season in year one of a potential deal. My point is that this team has been risk averse under Farhan Zaidi. Farhan Zaidi has been risk averse, and I don't think that it hasn't worked, right? The last couple of years, we can't have another year like that. And you better be really confident in these young pitchers that I just mentioned earlier, beyond Keaton Winn and Tristan Beck, because there's going to be a division preview coming up later, closer to the start of the season that we already recorded. But somebody talking about the Giants outside of the, another host in the division, I won't give it away, but basically said Giants are one Logan Webb injury away from what does this rotation look like? And I completely agree. Although for all we know, these young guys are going to be great. Like it's possible they just really know what they're talking about. But Blake Snell just won the Cy Young Award. Like he had a 2.25 ERA and won the Cy Young Award. I get it. His expected ERA was like a 1.5 higher at 3.77. Fielding independent pitching 3.44. The previous year, he had a 3.38 ERA and an expected ERA of 3.19 with a 2.8 fielding independent pitching. And so this guy, he just has been like on a historic roll. If you go back to like at a certain point in 2022, he actually really struggled to start 2023 as well and ended up with a 2.25 ERA and winning the Cy Young Award. He had this crazy, ridiculous stretch of like 16 starts where he had an ERA under 1. What I love about a pitcher like Snell is the ability to strike people out. I don't want to say I'm a sucker for it. I just think that it's the best kind of out, as we've seen. We've seen that, when defense comes into play or when balls in play come into play, weird things can happen. And so when you just are like one of the better strikeout pitchers in the game, then especially think about if you do get into the postseason. And that's like a common argument against Blake Snell is like the innings. And I just frankly don't really care if you give me 120 excellent innings versus, you're not giving me 200. I get it. You've got to cover. Nobody throws 200 innings anymore. I mean, some guys do. Logan Webb did last year, but he led the major leagues. So, I'd rather have 120 elite innings than 190 mediocre innings because I can fill those other innings with like a reliever or two and relievers are generally better in terms of ERA because they don't pitch as many innings. And so I don't care about the innings. I care about, are you healthy come playoff baseball time? And if you're the Giants and you're looking at being a wild card team almost certainly as opposed to winning the division when you're in a division with the Dodgers, like if you're going to make the playoffs, it's likely as a wild card team, or at least far more likely as a wild card team than as a division winner. We saw in 2021, anything can happen. But to have Blake Snell, or to have Logan Webb, Blake Snell, and then we're talking about Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb also being back, and you get to evaluate Kyle Harrison and other young guys while Robbie Ray and Alex Cobb are out, you could potentially have like one of the best starting rotations in baseball. Like Logan Webb and Blake Snell you could make a case going into the year if they were paired together that it would be the best 1-2 punch in baseball. And when you have a chance to just dramatically change the dynamic of your team like that and go from something of a weakness seemingly to something of maybe the best, like it's not every day that you have that opportunity, and it's just sitting right there in front of the Giants. So the downside of Snell, he walks a lot of guys. He doesn't pitch deep into games, hence the low kind of inning totals per year. I don't think he's dealt with a lot of major injuries, but when I look at like the velocity, it's remained strong. I mean, it was like looking at average fastball, 2020, 95.1. Next year, 95.2, 2022, 95.9, and last year, 95.6. So, I mean, this guy's averaging, we do round. Like when you see 96 on the gun, 95.6 counts as 96 because you round up at 0.6, at 0.5 actually. But so that he averages 96 is what I'm trying to say on his fastball. And so, yeah, you expect maybe some decline as you go deep into a contract. But again, the risk aversion stance hasn't worked. There was like risk aversion with Kevin Gausman. And I was on this show kind of making the point that long-term deals for pitchers like don't work out. But I just think they're not saddled with any bad contracts. It's worth rolling the dice. It's worth pushing the chips in a little bit. And so for me, it's Snell is the guy because of that strikeout ability that plays in October. I get it. Jordan Montgomery just pitched in October and was really good, but I think Blake Snell, I don't really buy into like postseason numbers being like reliable as a kind of data set. But for Snell, he's just been kind of the same guy. He's got a 3.20 career ERA, but 3.33 in the postseason. And strikeout rate is 29.7% in his career and 30.3% in the postseason. So he just is Blake Snell in the playoffs. And Jordan Montgomery, we'll look at him as well. He's got a career 3.68 ERA, which is nothing to scoff at all. And in the postseason, 2.63. But we're talking about 37 and 2/3 innings. Whereas for Snell, I mean, we're only talking about 48 and 2/3 for Snell. That's the thing. Postseason ERAs and stuff are just small samples. Jordan Montgomery's strikeout rate in the postseason is 14.7%. You're not going to sustain a mid-twos ERA when you're striking out 14.7% of batters. So there's been an element of luck. I don't want to necessarily call it luck, but just unsustainability to Jordan Montgomery's brief postseason 2.63 ERA. So coming up in just a minute, we'll wrap up the conversation on these two pitchers. You'll kind of hear me make a final analysis on which one I'd prefer and why. I think you know where I'm leaning, but I'll finish that up. And then also just a couple of updates. Today we had spring action. Giants have yet to win a spring game. It doesn't matter. But a couple of key plays from one Jung-Hoo Lee and one Marco Luciano. So we'll get into it momentarily. And before we do, today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. And if you're like me, you're probably going to want to check out the, upcoming Warriors game. I'm not exactly sure when they played their next game. Is it tonight? I'm on FanDuel right now. They play, it looks like tonight in New York against the Knicks, and the Warriors are favorites at -164. But hey, with this offer, place a $5 bet. If it wins, you get $150 in bonus bets. FanDuel.com/lockedon. You can just find the most lopsided game, place a bet on that, and claim your $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. So again, FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sports book partner of the NBA. All right, here we go. We're going to just wrap up that starting pitcher discussion. I know I talked a lot about Snell and not a lot about Montgomery. I do want to make the kind of case for Montgomery and then ultimately tell you why I still prefer Snell. But there is a case to be made for Montgomery. I think we're just kind of picking between two good things. Like either player would be an upgrade for the Giants, bring some much needed stability to the Giants. So yeah, thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Everydayers mailbag tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. We've got a bunch of questions, so no prompt on Twitter tonight. Just getting into the questions from last week. So anyway, Jordan Montgomery, what's weird is to me, he's like two different people. He's who he was on the Yankees, and then he's who he is since. And he just like completely looks different even. And that's because the Yankees have this no beard policy. And so he was clean shaven all the time. And now he's like grizzly, like total beard kind of guy. And he just looks different. And he also, like, they straight up traded, the Yankees did, Montgomery to the Cardinals for Harrison Bader, who's just not that good of a player. Like, he got like a 1 year, $8 million contract or something from the Mets this offseason. this was like a 1-for-1 swap, both players with like the same amount of team control remaining. And this was just a couple trade deadlines ago. And yet Bader is worth now 1 year, $8 million on the open market. And we're talking about Montgomery as like $150 million player, which was where a lot of the predictions kind of landed on him. And I said at the time when these predictions came out, I'm like, what? That just seems like too much for me for this guy. It may be some recency bias. He's pitched a lot. I mean, he's made 32 starts each of the last 2 seasons. He pitched in the playoffs for the Rangers, helped lead he started the year with the Cardinals, got traded to the Rangers, helped lead the Rangers to a World Series title. So congratulations to him. But we're projecting forward here. And what I am concerned about is that he doesn't miss bats, right? There's a lot of contact, below average strikeout rate. What he has on Snell is he walks fewer hitters. But that's about it. I mean, look, I haven't watched a ton of Montgomery. He spent most of his career playing for the Yankees, but he's just a below average strikeout rate guy and allows quite a bit of contact, and I just prefer the strikeout stuff. One thing Montgomery does have going for him is that he has no qualifying offer kind of strings attached, whereas the rest of the Boris clients, which is just Snell and Matt Chapman, there are qualifying offer strings attached. They both received the qualifying offer, obviously rejected it, and that means if the Giants were to sign them, they would lose a draft pick and $500,000 in international bonus pool money. And that draft pick, I forget exactly, is it a second round pick? It might be, I think it's a second round, the second highest selection. It's either second or fifth. It can be both if you're a luxury tax payer, and that's one reason. The main reason maybe teams avoid the luxury tax or like to sneak in below it is to avoid that penalty. Anyway, I land on Snell. I'm just a strikeout guy, okay? And there's a strikeout rate minus walk rate is also maybe one of the better metrics out there. And Snell comes out on top despite the higher walk rate. We're talking career 6.6% walks for Montgomery, and for Snell, 10.9. Strikeout rate, though, like I said, for Snell, 29.7 versus 22.5 for Montgomery. So look, either of these pitchers would be upgrades, but I lean towards Snell. Let me know in the comments below. Maybe I'll run another poll. I've been doing polls like Chapman or Snell, but how about just straight up Snell or Montgomery? The part of it is like it depends on the contract, and you also have to be aware of the qualifying offer stuff and the ramifications there, like losing a draft pick. But that's just the way it is. So lastly, I just want to give a couple of updates from the spring, basically just today. First of all, the Giants are the only winless team. Of course they are. It doesn't mean anything. They literally, well, if they go like 0-30 in spring, then it's going to be a story. But, spring training win percentage has like no correlation to regular season anything. But certain things we can look at, there are certain things in spring that do kind of matter. And one of the things is I talked about this the other day. How hard did you hit the ball? Because you can't fake that. Like Jung-Hoo Lee, we're getting our first look at him, and he missed a little time to start spring, but now he's playing a little bit, and he played today, and he hit a home run, and he hit the home run at like 109, 109.7 miles an hour, which as one of my, is it Luke on Twitter, who former I forget who Luke is, but there's a Fangraphs association. There's two of my guys over at Fangraphs. One does graphics, the other wrote for Fangraphs, but pointed out that a bunch of Giants, including guys like Michael Conforto, they didn't hit the ball that hard all year last year. JD Davis, maybe JD probably did, but a bunch of guys didn't hit the ball that hard all year. And so when you see information like that, that's relevant. Like max exit velocity is relevant. And Marco Luciano, in his first plate appearance of the spring, hit a ball 103.7 miles an hour. It was caught, but it was a rocket. And the other thing I wanted to point out about Luciano was that he made an error on his first play. It might have been his second play, but it was in the first inning, I believe. He threw the ball away. And so, I went on and have kind of defended him as a defender just because of a brief look at him in the majors, but also I've said I haven't seen enough and I need to see more, and have just pointed out that there's not universal consensus that he's like bad defensively at short, and that maybe he's passable there instead as opposed to like unplayable there. But we can evaluate defense in spring. I think it's one of those things where you can just watch guys defend, and that's, you're either bad or you're not, and you can make, like, if you make spectacular plays, you don't just fake those, right? So Luciano made an errant throw. It's his first game of the spring, so it takes more than just one game to make an evaluation, but it was worth pointing out, I thought. Jung-Hoo Lee also had a double that was over the head of the right fielder in this game, so off to a nice start for him. But mostly I'm interested in that max exit velocity almost more than the results themselves for Lee. Anyway, that is all the time we have for today. Thanks again for making Locked On Giants your first listen every day. Every day or tomorrow, you know what to do. Tune in and we'll be answering your questions. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV Channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV Channels app. Once again, my name is Ben Kaspick. Check me out on Twitter at Ben Kaspick, Kaspick. If you like this show, please consider rating it or leaving a review. It helps me out so much. So thank you in advance, and a sincere thanks to everyone who's done so already. I can't wait to be with you again tomorrow. Once again, all the best to Tristan Beck as he deals with this upper arm aneurysm. Man, scary stuff. But thanks again for listening. You are now Locked On Giants.